we were indeed the ideal. We were the city on a hill, if you will, in terms of democracy, freedom of speech, and the best kind of government and patriots of people interaction. That has all been curtailed now. The problem is that we've got a large number of people in America who actually believe that it should have been curtailed, and they voted for it in this recent election with Obama. And as you made mention of the fellow Dice, I think was his name in the earlier segment, that Californians are actually voting or believing that freedom of speech should be curtailed to some degree. What has happened is that there has been such a mind washing of people through the media. A large part of the reason why we've gotten to where we are, and people are not aware of the Constitution, the schools have been stripped of teaching pro-Americanism, Constitution, democracy, the Bible. They've been stripped. The institutions have been stripped.
People have nothing, so they're an empty vessel to be filled. Let's go to some phone calls before we run out of time here. You've been gracious to spend this time with us. Pat in Ohio, you're on the air with Dr. Manning. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex and Reverend Manning.
Hello.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying about President Obama.
Same person.
Yeah, it is. But I think you've been a little too harsh when you say that, when you call for the execution of him if he's found guilty of lying about his birth certificate. Sure, he should go to jail or whatever, but to be executed, no. Even though it may be a law, I think that's a little too harsh. And if anybody needs to be executed, it should be President Bush. I mean, considering what he did on 9/11. He was involved in the 9/11 event, him and Vice President Cheney.
Well, again, but I'm not going to sit here and call for that. I don't want anything to happen to those guys because they're high-level puppets, and that'll turn the whole system into a victim when it's the victimizer. But, Pat, I appreciate your call. Let me get a comment from Dr. Manning on that.
Well, if the question is about capital punishment, that you would be adverse to that, then I can certainly appreciate it. But if it's simply about the severity of the crime, I think that the issue of the birth certificate may be the doorway, but the severity of the crime, what the illegal status has done, and the number of people that have been injured as a result of him coming to power in an illegal way might be a way you would want to consider that. Because if he's created great injury and been able to launch more wars and create more deaths, then you may think and may reconsider and say, well, it might be worth execution at that point. And then the other thing is that founding fathers established that so that people would understand that fidelity to this nation is absolutely critical. Do not betray this nation under any circumstance, or your life is at risk.
Let's talk to Julio in Illinois. Julio, welcome.
Alex Jones, Dr. Manning, Freedom Fighters. How are you this afternoon, gentlemen?
Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. I praise you for what you're doing right now. Quick comment then to my question. Startpage.com, everybody. Please read Alternative Futures for 2025. They have this thing called Gulliver's Travels, pretty much a prelude. It was April 96, a prelude to what's going on currently in Haiti. My question, you guys are talking about a protest, what we need to do. Everyone needs to know that we need to be peaceful in these actions. I just got done with my sociology class. My professor, God bless this man, he's a Christian. I believe everything is happening for a reason. He talked about Dr. King. I resaw his speech. In the beginning, he talked about he is collecting a debt, talking about the Constitution and how we are granted this freedom. We need to have a march on Wall Street. Everyone knows that the criminal offshore bank known as the Federal Reserve are looting us high and dry right in front of our faces.
All right, let me move on to his comments. We're about to go to break. Clearly, I believe in identifying the bankers as the real government, the real criminals, and bypassing the puppet presidents. Your take on that?
The Bible states the borrower is the servant of the lender. He who controls the money controls all of the honey. Well, he who controls the money controls the world, quite frankly.
So we go after the banks.
Absolutely. We must, the Federal Reserve, I think, not so much the banks. They are certainly a target, no doubt about it, and a very visible one.
I mean the mega banking structure. Sure, I don't mean your Mayberry Bank. You should support that, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But the Federal Reserve, I think most people are unaware of how insidious the Federal Reserve is, how it was founded, what it does, and how it manipulates world governments. It manipulates, if you will, the growth of products and services in other nations. It must be exposed and dethroned.
We're going to come back, take 3 quick calls in the last segment with Reverend Manning. Isaac, Tracy, and Mark, stand by. We're going right to you after this break in the final segment with our guest. Then a big news blitz coming up at the bottom of the hour. Stay with us. Let's move quickly to the calls. Final segment with Reverend Manning. Let's talk to Isaac in Colorado. Isaac, you're on the air. Welcome.
Gentlemen, I wanted to get Reverend Manning's take on the Romans chapter 13 thing with the whole FEMA clergy response team thing they're trying to push on all these
Reverend, I'm sure
churches.
You're aware that covertly, we got the documents 4 years ago, Butch Paul got them, but 2 years after they admitted, they've secretly hired tens of thousands of preachers to covertly teach Romans 13, give up your guns, go to the FEMA camp. We have preachers on TV admitting this. I mean, is that your question in total, Isaac?
Yeah, pretty much how he would respond to something like that.
Well, first of all, I was not one of them. But secondly, any preacher who is paid to promote a particular gospel is no longer a preacher. He's no longer a servant of the Lord. But understanding the government going after asking preachers to do that and them acquiescing to it, yes, I'm sure they've done it. I don't think they've been very effective, though. I think that what has happened over the last few years, more people have applied for and gotten actual permits to purchase guns, and America is armed to the teeth right now. That was a failed policy, if you ask me.
America instinctively knew day one that Obama was pure evil.
Excuse me?
America instinctively knew, the part of America that has a soul, instinctively knew that Obama was pure evil day one.
Exactly. They did. I mean, they within their Noah, which I say spiritually, the soul, they sensed that something was wrong, that they knew that this man was not right, and began to defend themselves and protect their homes and to protect this nation as well.
Yeah, the New World Order is in trouble, but it's still moving forward, and the battle is joined. The final big battle's unfolding right now here in the United States. The rest of the world.
I would think that the New World Order recognizes that they've got a bit of a problem. Somewhere or another, something happened. Copenhagen has caused me to think that they've got a bit of a problem, but they're in no way anywhere near defeated. I can tell you that now, and anyone who thinks that they are.
Yes. We've had some victories. We've wounded the dragon, but we've shown he's not invincible, but he's certainly not that hurt. Appreciate the call, Isaac. Tracy in New Mexico, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex, Doctor, nice to get on. Alex, you said it perfectly, that the American people, the ones that least have souls and know right from wrong, knew from the very beginning that this guy was the worst sort of bad news that we could possibly have thrust on us. And now we find ourselves, I think the last thing you said, it may be slowed down, but it's still moving forward. I hate that saying. But so at this point, do we continue to do everything that we've already done? We know it's not going to work. Or do we organize something that is a little bit out of the box that at least has more of a chance of working? Because,
well, I mean, let me be clear. It is working. They're failing on every front. The problem is they've got the power, and so they just keep going. But more and more of the punches they throw are failing, and the answer is sunlight. The answer is an awakening, going to every hill and mountain, every valley, and letting the people know that the enemy had net the gates, it's in the gates, and this is real, and the Republican Tea Party-oid takeover isn't going to save us. But again, it's a manifestation. Just like the Brown being elected in Massachusetts isn't a total victory, but it's a message, just like the purchasing of guns is a message. I don't know. I feel in my gut we're really having victories. Reverend Manning?
I'm convinced we're having victories, and not only that, I'm convinced that we're winning battles, and I'm convinced that we're going to ultimately win the war. I'm confident of that. I will give my word to anyone who thinks it's worth anything. We will win this war. And to put it philosophically, I mean, I could go over the strategies that you outline so well every day, Alex, but let me just put it in the context of what you said about 20 minutes ago. You said that lies have to be applied every day. They have to get up every day and find new strategies or the strength to apply a lie, while the truth is constant. And that's the thing that's on our side. That is the paradigm of the battles that we're fighting, is a lie, and a massive one against a truth that is universal, that doesn't just stop here in America. It doesn't stop with man and woman only. It is a universal truth, and that's what they're fighting against, and that's why we're going to win, ultimately, this war.
We're out of time for calls. I'll continue with your calls coming up after I cover some more news. But I do appreciate your spirit. I can feel your courage. My discernment tells me, that we need to protect you, Pastor Manning, and that you understand that you have to step up with the courage of what you're doing. And we will be praying for you, my friend, and I appreciate you coming on with us. Atla.org is the website. God bless you.
God bless you, and I will rest in that, Alex. Thank you so very much for those very kind words.